The U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran has entered its 26th day with no signs of de-escalation as fresh waves of missiles and drones struck targets across Iran and the Gulf region. Intelligence sources confirm that Israel launched precision strikes on Iranian military installations while Iranian forces retaliated with drone attacks on strategic targets. The United States has publicly signaled its willingness to escalate military operations while simultaneously keeping diplomatic channels open for a potential negotiated settlement. The conflict has now spread beyond Iran's borders, with Gulf nations reporting missile debris and heightened air defense activity. Regional airlines have suspended flights across major corridors, and shipping lanes in the Persian Gulf remain heavily militarized. This prolonged military engagement represents the most serious direct confrontation between Iran and the U.S.-Israeli alliance in decades, fundamentally reshaping Middle Eastern geopolitics. The international community continues to call for immediate ceasefire talks as casualties mount on all sides. OpenAI has permanently shut down its viral Sora video generation app after mounting concerns over deepfake abuse and misinformation campaigns. The company announced Tuesday it was saying goodbye to the Sora app and promised to help users preserve content they had already created on the platform. Sora had gained massive popularity for its ability to generate highly realistic videos from simple text prompts. But critics warned the technology was being weaponized to create convincing fake footage of political figures and celebrities. The shutdown comes amid a broader crackdown on AI-generated content as governments worldwide struggle to regulate rapidly advancing artificial intelligence capabilities. Security experts had identified Sora-generated videos spreading false information about the ongoing Iran conflict, contributing to public confusion and panic. This decision represents a significant retreat for OpenAI, which had positioned Sora as a breakthrough in creative AI technology. The company's sudden reversal signals growing industry awareness that some AI innovations may be too dangerous for public release without stronger safeguards. Oil prices have surged to $150 per barrel, prompting BlackRock CEO Larry Fink to warn that sustained high energy costs could trigger a devastating global recession. Fink stated that prolonged elevated oil prices will have profound implications for the world economy, potentially matching the severity of the 1970s oil crisis. The price spike stems directly from the ongoing U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran, which has disrupted Middle Eastern oil production and created panic buying across global markets. Major economies are already showing signs of strain as transportation costs skyrocket and manufacturing sectors face unprecedented energy bills. The International Energy Agency reports that global oil supplies have dropped by 15% since the conflict began, while strategic petroleum reserves in major consuming nations are being rapidly depleted. Central banks worldwide are facing an impossible choice between fighting inflation and preventing economic collapse as energy costs drive up prices across all sectors. Financial analysts predict that if oil remains above $120 for more than 3 months, a deep global recession will become inevitable. Iranian civilians are facing unprecedented economic hardship as the ongoing military conflict devastates an already fragile economy, leaving millions without income and basic services. Widespread internet outages have crippled businesses and cut off families from essential communications, while repeated attacks have forced thousands to evacuate their homes temporarily. Local merchants report that supply chains have completely collapsed, with food and medicine shortages becoming critical in major cities, including Tehran and Isfahan. Many Iranians who worked in export industries or tourism have lost their jobs entirely, while others face indefinite unpaid leave as companies shut down operations. The Iranian rial has plummeted to historic lows against the dollar, wiping out savings and making imported goods unaffordable for ordinary families. Banking systems operate sporadically due to infrastructure damage and international sanctions, preventing people from accessing their own money. This economic catastrophe is unfolding against the backdrop of years of international sanctions that had already weakened Iran's economy. The humanitarian crisis deepens daily as civilians bear the cost of a conflict they cannot control or escape. Developing nations across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East are bearing the heaviest burden of the Iran conflict's economic fallout, as surging energy prices devastate their already vulnerable economies. Countries from Pakistan to Egypt report fuel shortages and rolling blackouts as governments struggle to afford oil at current market prices. Many developing nations spend up to 40% of their foreign currency reserves on energy imports, leaving them exceptionally exposed to price shocks. In South Asia, manufacturing has ground to a halt in textile and steel industries, while African nations face the impossible choice between fuel imports and food security programs. Egypt has implemented strict fuel rationing, while Pakistan has suspended non-essential industrial operations to preserve energy supplies. These nations lack the strategic petroleum reserves and fiscal resources that allow wealthier countries to weather price spikes, creating a two-tier global recovery. The International Monetary Fund warns that without immediate international assistance, dozens of developing countries could face sovereign debt crises within months. The crisis threatens to reverse decades of development progress and could trigger mass migration as economies collapse across the global south.